Where does this depravity come from? How can you, as someone is begging for their life, someone who has done nothing wrong, someone is asking you, please, you don't have to do this. Someone is saying, please, can we just pray? How can someone be so callous, so depraved, to be able to go face to face with this innocent person and just take their life? Joining me tonight, psychologist Dr. Erik Fisher. Thanks so much for being here. All these cases are difficult, but here it becomes so real. And the last moments of life, she's begging for her life. Where does it come? How can a human being? I mean, that's what separates us from animals, isn't it? Supposed to be what separates us from animals. We have some sort of conscious. We have some kind of thought and regard for another human being. And here, we hear how she's begging for her life and asking for them to pray with her. Yet they still can be so callous, so depraved to be able to shoot her and shoot her again and shoot her again and shoot her again and kill her. Where does that come from?
Well, I think we have to look at that. What we find through researching is sometimes people are just born sociopathic. There's a genetic predisposition to that sometimes they just don't have the ability or faculty to experience guilt or feel guilt or remorse as other people would. So that's one thing to consider here. The other thing we have to look at is how much to this...
When you say that, though, I feel like we're almost throwing in the towel.
Oh, right.
That there are people that are born so depraved, so callous, unable to have any thought or feeling or regard for another human being?
Well, the other fact of that is their upbringing, and that's another major factor here to look at, that you can have somebody who's born with the ability to feel, the capacity to love, the desire to be loved, but their upbringing in their family or in their society or in the community around them taught them to be that way, or they never formed healthy attachments. One of the things that I look at, that I work with people with, is attachment disorders and how they attach and relate to people. When you have somebody who's been repeatedly abandoned, rejected, betrayed, violated, abused, they kind of lose the ability to connect to people. And that trauma that they feel has them shutting off a lot of those emotions like love and closeness and security and trust. People become objects to them. That's not a person that they shot. That was something.
So as she is there begging for her life, do they have any concept of what that act is going to do now? Because you've taken this life, number one, and then to think of what that does to her family, what that does to her friends, and what you have taken. I mean, for $1,400 here. I mean, you talk about motivation. It's $1,400, doctor.
But there's no value. They don't put value on a life. People with attachment disorders, with sociopathy, with things, they don't put value on life. It's an object. And that's what we can understand, because we do feel emotions and we do connect to people.
Is there a way, and is there, because this guy's been arrested before, okay? It's not his first time through the system. Is there a way, all right, you get arrested for doing something, we give you a test. We figure out if you're one of these people who can't make that connection to another human being. And yeah, we try to help you, but we try to protect the rest of us. You know, the innocent people out there, the potential future people that they're going to prey upon. Is there a way where a guy like this gets arrested at age 17, is placed on probation, but before we set him free, maybe we sit him down with someone like you or sit him down somewhere to figure out what's going on up here? Can we do that?
Well, yeah, there's testing that people can do. There's inventories people take and stuff, and you can really start to see who might have that risk. But just because there's a risk for them to behave this way doesn't mean they will. You don't know when or how, and you also have to look at, they're white-collar criminals, too, who have no ability to feel or connect to people. They just haven't taken people's personal lives, but they'll take their property, they'll take their savings, they affect people in very serious ways. What I wanted to say that was very wise about her, and again, this is a wonderful young lady.
Here's the thing, is the contrast that strikes me here, because we've learned a lot about Eve Carson, and this is someone who is studying medicine because she wanted to do good things for others. This is a college student. Instead of going partying, right, during her summer breaks, she's going overseas volunteering and helping poor people and helping doctors and volunteering her time. So the contrast couldn't be greater that I see in this situation where she's begging for a life and they're taking it.
Right. But she knew to try to connect with them. She's pleading with them to pray with me, join with me, commune with me and to help them to connect with her and see her as a person. Those are things that you're supposed to do when you have somebody who you're trying to make sure that they don't end your life. You want them to know you as a person, as a real being, with somebody with a family. And for her to hold that together, what an amazing young woman to do that. That's extremely, admirable and insightful.
And I guess if the killers were anyone other than these depraved minds that you couldn't fix anyway, she might still be here.
Right. And can they be fixed? Yes, it's a lot of work, a lot of therapy.
Well, I'm throwing in the towel on these guys, but thanks so much, Dr. Erik Fisher. Thanks so much for joining us.